Hey guys, Justin the Bostonian here. Happy Disney Plus Day, and yes, you saw the thumbnail. I am here to talk about the newest Disney remake, of Pinocchio. This is from director Robert Zemeckis, the director of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Oh, yeah, of course you already know it's my all-time favorite movie, along with Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. And this was written by, well, not just Robert Zemeckis, but this was also written by Chris Weiss, the same writer of not only those Twilight movies, but he also wrote Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So for him to write in this one, I was kind of interested. So when I saw the trailers to this film, I thought it looked like the first teaser looked like an okay film. Then when I saw the second trailer, it actually kind of got me excited a bit. Before I talk about this one, let me just say really quickly about the first one. I love the first one. It's one of my favorite Disney animated films of all time. I mean, not as good as The Lion King or Aladdin or the Wreck-It Ralph movies. But I'd probably say, I love it. I think that's my favorite Disney animated film from the 40s. I know people love Fantasia, but I think Pinocchio is better than Fantasia, at least in my opinion. Even if Fantasia's a good movie. So with that said, and of course you probably already know, I do enjoy the most of the Disney remakes. And there are some I just don't really care for. I personally didn't like the remake of Pete's Dragon. I didn't like I personally didn't like the remake of Cinderella. They're not bad films. I just feel like they're just kind of mediocre. Or at best, personally. They just felt kind of standard. But even if they did have some good moments and whatnot, I say the most okay out of all the remakes from Disney is surprisingly on Mulan, which is not that great of a movie, but I thought it was alright. The last time we had one of the greats was like Cruella, Dumbo, The Jungle Book, which is still my personal favorite out of all of them, and The Lion King I love. Then the remake of Aladdin. There's definitely some good ones out there, but there's like remakes. There's like a couple of them I feel like are just downright terrible. One is the remake of Beauty and the Beast, which at first I enjoyed it, but then I watched it again and I realized how bad it is. And even watching it on Nostalgia Critic, as well. And those problems I had with it when I first saw it, I really do overshadow some of the good stuff really badly. But the one true worst remake of all, and I still stand by is the worst out of all of them, Alice in Underland. And I do say Underland because it has nothing to do with Wonderland. So with that said, what's my thoughts on Pinocchio? I honestly thought this was a great remake. Not quite as good as the original. But it was sort of close, but it did have a few problems, though. So basically, we already know the story of Pinocchio. The movie story is exactly the same. But much like the Lion King remake, it's kind of a shot-for-shot remake, but it does feel like an extended version of the original movie. Quickly ahead, we have Jiminy Cricket, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's, of course, Pinocchio's conscience, and he heads into Geppetto's house, where we see Geppetto, played by Tom Hanks, which creates his wooden puppet named Pinocchio, voiced by Benjamin Evans, as Ainsworth, or Ains Smith, or whatever. I can't pronounce his name for this time. But basically, we already know about his wish, which that he wishes that he was like a real boy or whatnot. Then we see the Blue Fairy, played by Cynthia Erivo. She comes in and helps Pinocchio come to life, and then tells him that he must be, in order to be a real boy, he has to go through some tasks like being brave, truthful, and not selfish. So basically, Pinocchio then tries to go to school, but then comes across a bunch of other characters like Honest John, voiced by Keegan Michael Key, from the Lion King remake, and his cat Giddy. He calls him Gideon, but I call him Giddy. But of course we already know the scene that he has to be transferred It has to be like go to what do you call it? Be famous, and so they went to Stromboli. And we get some new characters along the way, like like this puppeteer and her puppet named Sabine. Oh no, Sabina basically. And on what do you and then we see the Pleasure Island stuff, where we see the coachman played by Luke Evans, who you may remember him as Gaston from the live-action remake of Beauty and the Beast, which is really which is cool. And then of course after Pleasure Island, we see Pinocchio trying to rescue his father, or from the evil sea monster, I should say, instead of a whale. Because they changed a Monstro a bit, which is actually kind of a cool idea. But so, I will say that this film is not perfect very quickly, right now, because there is a few problems. Much like the Beauty and the Beast remake, there are some scenes that just come out of nowhere, or that just pop up and come out of nowhere, and it feels like the editing feels a little too quick for its own good. For example, there's a scene where Pinocchio is like putting his finger in the fire, like in the original, and then when Geppetto's supposed to help him out or something, but right after he just hits Pinocchio and runs into him and whatnot, it just cuts them into like laying in bed. The same thing that kind of goes with the same scene where Stromboli throws Pinocchio in the cage. They don't even have a conversation. And it's just Pinocchio having a friendly conversation with Sabine. Sabina. And then when Stromboli yells at the lady, and then he just cuts off, just throwing him into the cage, and then saying those same lines. The same thing goes for Pleasure Island, which I don't want to spoil too much though. But friggin'. So yeah, there's something wrong with the editing in this film at times. Plus, there's one certain there's surprisingly a poop joke in this movie. I'll admit it gets a little giggle, but I know it's gonna piss people off though, and whatnot. But, yeah, that's pretty much it though for those problems. Plus some of the new songs as well aren't that great though. They're not bad. I just feel, they're cute little tunes, but they're not all that special though. That's all the bad. So that's all the problems I have with this one. Because let's get to the good stuff. Starting with the visuals and the animation. I think that it looks great. I also for example, I love the way that the characters, particularly Pinocchio, for example, and he's designed like the original character. And the way that he looks in this, he looks phenomenal. Even his voice is phenomenal too, and I'll get to that in a minute. So I love the way they designed him. Jiminy Cricket looks like an actual cricket, but still looks like the original character. The same thing goes for Stromboli, for example. I also think the same thing goes for Geppetto, or the whole bunch. And about the Monstro part, he's not actually just a whale. He's actually like a sea monster in this one. He is like a mix between a giant whale or a shark and a squid or whatever. Actually, no, not just a shark. I say both a whale and a squid. And that's pretty much it for that. But he is designed pretty cool, though. Obviously they had to make changes for that. But like I said, I do think the songs are fine enough. Like the original songs, and the newer songs aren't that bad either. I just feel like they could have been done just a little bit better. But the acting is really good. The story is really good. Tom Hanks does a great job as Geppetto. And of course, anything that Tom Hanks touches, I think is gold. And another nitpick I have with the movie is that, Joseph Gordon-Levitt definitely does do good as the voice of Jiminy Cricket. There are times when it feels a little, or it really feels a little too over the top, or like a little bit like too whiny and whatnot. And I don't want to like give it away, but you probably know what I'm talking about if you've seen this film. But and that ending to the film. Oh, that's another nitpick as well. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to remember what else I'm trying to remember. The ending to the film is pretty much different as well. Oh, let's just say that there's a scene right after the big climax. You know that scene in Tangled where Rapunzel is like singing a song to Eugene when he dies, and then he bursts out into tears, and then the tear helps him heal, helps him up, like get healed up, and then comes back to life. Friggin', the same thing happens here on this one. But I'm not gonna say what happens all the way through though. Let's just say it's just something switched around. And then of course the ending as well. I don't want to give away as well. And it might piss people off. So yeah, I love the visuals. I love I love Pleasure Island. I love how it's like a very trippy scene, and also instead of like using like beer and cigars, which I think that's gonna piss people off, this will be a big controversial whole thing or whatever. But in the original, they were like on Pleasure Island, kids were like drinking beer and smoking cigars and cigarettes and whatnot. But in this one, it's candy and root beer. But Pleasure Island was like the best part of the movie in my opinion. That scene was awesome. And the climax was awesome. So this movie, so overall, I thought this movie was kind of awesome. Kind of. I thought this was a pretty solid flick. In fact, no, screw that. I think this movie was great. I'd be lying if I said I like it just a little bit more than Tim Burton's Dumbo. But not as good as like Cruella or the remake of Aladdin or The Jungle Book and whatnot. It is one of the better Disney remakes out there. So, if you have seen, actually no, if you're looking for something that's enjoyable enough and at least like don't mind these remakes that much, I say this is really worth a watch, especially if you are a fan of the director himself, Rob Zemeckis. But this movie is nowhere as good. But it's nowhere as good as Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We already know that's his magnum opus, or as good as Polar Express. I actually like it more than Polar Express. But just not as good as the Back to the Future movies, or Forrest Gump, or Roger Rabbit. So, but if you want a much better Disney Plus movie that came out recently, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is your better choice. Or you could even watch Godmother. That's a great comedy. Or if you want a really awesome movie as well, I say watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So, it's not my favorite film of the year, and it's not as good as, say, like Turning Red or Lightyear. Or I guess, but I'll have to rethink of that one soon. But, yeah, overall, I thought this was a great remake to a really great film. Not as good, but definitely great. And I feel this is actually getting pretty much overly hated. Like, way overhated. Like Space Jam 2 hated. So, if you haven't seen the movie yet, give it a watch. But if you have seen the film, comment below. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe and share the video. And I'm Justin the Bostonian. And I will see you for my review for Thor Love and Thunder. And hopefully I can get out a review for Season 2 of the Cuphead show. See ya.